It's time for The Spread. That's our weekly check-in with gambling expert Todd Fuhrman, columnist for Outkick the Coverage and analyst for DonBest.com. How's it going, Todd?
It's going all right, guys. Only 16 short weeks till we get NFL football.
Right, but who's counting anyway? All right, Todd.
We wouldn't do that kind of thing.
No. Cantor Gaming recently released point spreads for every game through the first 16 weeks of the 2013 NFL season. So upon first glance, which lines stick out to you the most, and where can we find some early value?
I think when you look at individual lines, you kind of get bogged down in some of the numbers. It's more important to isolate a handful of teams that you think may be overvalued early in the year versus undervalued. One team that jumps off the page to me as being overvalued, the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, this is a team that Cantor lists as a 2.5-point underdog at San Francisco, speaks volumes about their power rating, and says they're the best team in the NFC. No greater indication there than you see a pick'em when they go to the Georgia Dome to take on the Falcons. A team that's undervalued, but I'll reserve a little bit of judgment on, I think the Philadelphia Eagles. There's some nice opportunities there, assuming the offense buys into Chip Kelly's system and they eventually name a capable quarterback. The Eagles may have some live underdog value, at least on the look-ahead lines.
Well, Todd, let's talk about two of the more hilarious teams to watch, the Cardinals and Jags. The only two teams not listed as favorites during any game next season. They actually play in Week 11 in Jacksonville. The game is listed as a pick'em. Who is Todd Fuhrman's odds-on favorite to go 0-16?
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Georgetown Hoyas football for a second, so I got a little confused.
You know what? That is the last Georgetown knock I'll hear from you.
You know what? I look at those two rosters, and I don't even think Arizona or Jacksonville should be the odds-on favorite to go winless. My pick, you got to look a little further west. I'll look at the Oakland Raiders. I know they're favored in 2 games, but I think from a talent mix standpoint, this just doesn't look to be able to compete. I like the addition of Carson Palmer for Arizona. I think that defense is vastly underrated. And Jacksonville, can it really get worse? I mean, I saw a stat this week that said Blaine Gabbert, if he gets about 2.5 seconds to throw, he's got one of the highest quarterback ratings in the league. Too bad for Jacksonville. They don't have an offensive line that keep him upright for more than a half a second.
Blaine Gabbert couldn't start for Georgetown's football team. I tell you that right now.
2.5 seconds in eternity for Blaine Gabbert. All right, the LBA Superbook has released division odds, and while there are frontrunners in many cases, the AFC North has 3 teams, the Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals, listed as tri-favorites at plus 190. Which team do you like at that price?
I think when you look at this division, and these numbers are going to move quite a bit because Pittsburgh and Baltimore will get a lion's share of the public money. I think Cincinnati is a sleeper this year in that division. They bring back a wealth of talent. You look at the emergence of Vontaze Burfict on the defensive side of the ball. They added some key components on offense. And while I'm not a huge fan of Andy Dalton, really believe this Bengals team will fly under the radar despite only being favored in a handful less games than the Steelers and Ravens.
Oh, nice. Well, a Forbes magazine survey named Tim Tebow the most influential athletes in sports. Shocking, Vince Young. Now, who do you find is the most influential NFL athlete from a point spread perspective?
Well, don't knock Vince Young too fast. He's kept TGI Fridays in Nashville in business for quite some time. So he is extremely influential to the overall retail economy. But you look at Tim Tebow as the Forbes list, Aaron Rodgers, hands down the most valuable quarterback in the NFL and clearly the most valuable overall player. The drop-off from him to Graham Harrell, especially in that Packers offense, is mind-boggling. You're looking at about a 6.5 to 7-point adjustment. The Packers really become a pedestrian football team when Aaron Rodgers is out for any length of time.
I can't argue with that. Redskins got a solid backup.
All right, that's former Vegas oddsmaker Todd Fuhrman. You can check him out on Twitter at Todd Fuhrman.
If you have a job.